Hello, all lovelies. This is Pirjo from Happiness Uncovered series. And today I'm interviewing my friend Robyn, and she is a coach who is all about balance, balance in our thoughts, mind, and body. And she's about finding the balance which creates perspective, which can change everything. Welcome, Robyn. It's so lovely to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's beautiful to be here with you. Excited to have a chat.
Yeah, so can you please tell me what is it this all about, your coaching and your point of view of life?
I see coaching as being able to bring out in people the best that they can be. So for that to occur, it's about them understanding what and how to set themselves up for success, because so often what we see as, or we look at someone else and go, oh wow, they've got all of these things and they're so organized, or they're really successful. And let me tell you a story. Actually, I'm from Australia, so that's where the strange accent's from. And
I love it.
many moons ago, back in the day, I was a member of the Australian cross country ski team and loved skiing a lot. However, when it started to get serious and they were talking about having trips overseas. Now, Australia's got snow on mountains that are about 5 hours drive to get to, and the snow only lasts like a couple of months. So you might get 10 days on skis. Versus if we're skiing against people from Finland or Germany or America, where they've had months and months and months of snow, and that's what you do to get to school, or you ski to get to work, or you ski after, it's just part of life because you've got snow everywhere. And for me to go over there, I wouldn't have felt successful because I know that I would have been right down the end of the field. But of course, in Australia, everyone's looking up and going, oh, you've got all this success because you're a member of the Australian ski team. And I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. And in fact, I put up my hand and said, this is not what I want to do. And there was a whole bunch of people who just questioned me and said, what are you doing? You can go over and you can, try and, you can see the world. And I just, it wasn't in me. And so the success that people were looking at, well, the Australian people were looking at in me, they didn't understand that I didn't see it as success. I didn't see it as something that was that I was, sort of born to do or anything like that. And so I actually quit, and I went and studied accounting. I know, don't hold it against me. But for me, in as I've been growing up, I have a high value on being thought to be intelligent. I want people to think that I'm smart and I'm knowledgeable and that kind of stuff. And for me to actually jump in and study accounting and put my head down and do that I felt was going to be giving me more success than running around in a green and gold Australian tracksuit. But yeah, it's curious because it comes from your perspective. Interesting.
Yes, very interesting, because I think that uh, we people today, we look for quick dopamine hits. I mean, quick wins and quick happiness thoughts, and but the inner peace, inner happiness comes from a long-term uh, goals, and that you really enjoy being yourself and enjoy doing them, whatever you wish and whatever you do and whatever your goals are. I mean, it's like for example, if an outside person comes and tells us that you're beautiful, but if we don't have it here, then it's
It
like,
doesn't mean anything.
yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything. So
Or you don't believe them and you think that
yes,
they're just, you know,
yes, exactly.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
curious. It's curious. Yeah, I believe when I was talking about, well, you was talking about balance when you were introducing me, I see, I guess I see the world as equally good and bad, or equally happy and sad. And what I've really discovered recently for myself is that you can't have happiness without some sadness. You can't have good and bad. You can't have hot and, you know,
yeah,
it's, there's always a balance between them. And so often for me, I found if I go off chasing happiness and I'm chasing it and I'm chasing the dopamine, I just want to feel good and I'm trying to run away from feeling bad,
yeah,
then, and I'm choosing where I want to be happy. The interesting thing is that then I can't choose the sadness. I can't choose, you know, if I want something, I'm going after some goal, I can't choose what's going to be annoying me and frustrating me. And so if I'm just going for the good, happy dopamine rush, then I'll just keep running into these other things, these other side, and I don't get to choose the other side, and I may not like what I get. And I'll give you an example. The other week I woke up one morning and I had this ache, sore shoulder and neck, and it was just really painful. And so if we were just to try and run away from that, well, I'd go get a massage and I would, you know, maybe swallow some painkillers or some, you know, something to stop the pain. So therefore I'm trying to hide the pain, push it away and go for feeling better. But what I decided to do is I actually went and had a chat to one of my mentors and I said, I'm struggling to get into this shoulder thing because it was really restricting my neck and the way I was turning. And in my mind, the first thing that came into my mind was, what don't I want to see behind me? And now I could have gone for the massage, I could have gone for, you know, the painkillers to you know, calm the shoulder down, the anti-inflammatories. But I went off and spoke to my coach, and we actually got in and realized that something that was coming up in my business was triggering a previous memory of when I was in a very unhappy place in a previous job. And this shoulder pain was reminding me that we don't want to go back there and we're going to work things out differently. So this was what I got out of having a sore neck and shoulder. And so by going in and doing the hard stuff, going in and trying to figure out what's going on with my body and what message it's trying to give me, which is hard. And of course, there's a few tears because you go, oh, I didn't remember, I didn't like that. That means that now I'm going to be balanced with good and happiness. And it doesn't matter necessarily as much what that happiness is, because I've chosen to do the hard thing. The happiness will come and it will be beautiful.
yeah,
So
so
that's
lovely.
I know, I hope I've explained that. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes totally sense because I think there is truly there's two sides of life that they are always present. Where there is love, there is hate. Where there is grief, there is joy, and there are always two sides. But most of the time, people just acknowledge the pain, but they don't
And they
understand
try
that.
and push it
Yeah,
away. And it's like, no, I don't want pain. I don't want that.
yeah.
And
I think that I got an example of this last year my November was very painful emotionally. I mean, I shed really many tears, but at the same time, I had so many blessings on that same month. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So we really do have two sides with us every day.
Mm. Mm. Yes, I completely agree. It's really interesting to watch because, and I've seen so much of it on social media, that people are only that we just want the good stuff.
Yeah,
We're reaching for the good stuff, and then we've got this fantasy that that we'll get it, and if we don't get it, then it's not fair, and the world's against me, and it's all everybody else's fault, and then we get angry. But angry means that they shouldn't treat me like they're treating me. But if we look at the should and ask the question, why shouldn't they?
yes, yes,
And then you turn it back on yourself and, well, why should they?
yeah.
And turning that should word around is a very powerful thing, to be able to see those both sides. And when you realize that it's not actually out there is actually just a reflection of what's in here.
So true. So, what are your thoughts, Robyn, about people keep diaries of what they are grateful or thankful for? And usually, for many years, I think that we've been taught that it's about the blessings and good stuff you have experienced during the day or during the week. But is there something else than good things that we should be grateful for? Should we
Well,
erase the bad?
exactly. Well, I've got two sort of points to this question. It's a great question. The first one is that because we're human, we are wired to remember bad things more than good things, because we're designed so that we continue to live. And so the idea that, we remember the bad things is to keep us safe, so that we remember that. So if that happens again, we know what to do in the future and we're not going to die. So it's literally this mechanism within us as humans that's how we're wired. So that, e.g., when you're a teenager and you haven't had many years on the earth and you don't know very much, you don't see what the risks are because you haven't actually run into them before. And so, you have teenagers running off doing crazy things. And then as you get older, you go, oh, well, actually, I know that that's what happened last time out of, and we learn. So the fact that we write down and we recall the good things during the day helps us to remember them and balance out what's happened. Because if we only remember just biologically the bad things, we're not actually balancing it out with the good things.
Yes.
So being able to look at your day and going, oh, wow, it was so lovely to speak to Pirio, and whatever was going on during the day for me, and then say, why was it great? And, it's lovely to be able to share my message with her audience, and whatever it may be for you. Questioned whether we should only be grateful for the good things. And yes, you're absolutely right. I would also be grateful for the bad things. I am grateful that, I don't know, whatever the thing was, maybe for me, because I'm an online coach, I might get someone writing rubbish on my post and telling the world that I'm a terrible human being. But being grateful for that person who's coming in and talking rubbish, because if I'm getting people who don't like me coming in, well, that means I'm actually reaching a whole bunch of people, which is more than just my family and friends. You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
actually
Yeah.
getting out there in the world. And there's a whole bunch of people who are probably seeing my stuff or my content that I don't know about. And so to have this person come in and I didn't know them, let's say, well, this shows that, well, there's got to be equal amount of great people who did see the content. And the
Yeah.
other thing is it allows me then to go back and to respond in a respectful way and then to have other people see the response. So I can turn it around. But being grateful for that person who came and, said horrible things is difficult because, you can get triggered. It's like, oh, don't write stupid things on my. But being grateful for it and then to see the balance of it, that's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's so true, and because when you get to the balance, you can also, at that peaceful state of mind, you're able to see that what the needs are to that person who commented nastily. I mean, it's because it's never about us, or if you compare it to whatever person is saying bad things about anyone, it's about that
Mm,
person, that person's
mm,
beliefs, that person's needs, and stuff. It's never personal, and that's been a really relieving for me that
mm,
it's
yes.
never.
The other thing I like to do with that scenario is perhaps it is a reflection of me.
Yeah.
And then I go and have a look, and not necessarily in the exact way that that person has done it, but where have I gone and said nasty things about other people, and go and own that.
Yes, that's
Because if
so
that's a
important.
reflection
Yeah.
and I go and own that, I go and go, oh, well, I didn't like my boss at work, let's say, or I didn't like you know, the person in marketing, I don't know, something. And I was grumbling about them to somebody else. Or yeah, there was some stupid person on the train and they were drunk and da da da, and I was bitching and moaning about that. So when I go and own where I've been doing the same thing, it actually calms down my emotions and go, okay, maybe it wasn't about me.
Yeah.
Maybe as you said, it was actually their stuff. But until I can own it, then it's difficult, and it's like, don't, and again the finger goes out to that person, don't you do that to me. It's like, oh, hang on, let me own it, let me,
Yeah. Yeah.
where have I done that? Okay.
Yes, this is
But I
so.
can guarantee it'll be there.
Yeah, it's so
Yes.
important that you talk about this responsibility, because I think that we are so 100% responsible of all the actions we take, but also all the things we think about, what we make the situation mean.
Mm, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's such a curious thing. And when you start looking into it and you go, ah, that changes things. And it's literally, as you were saying before, about perspective
Yes.
and
Yes.
and and where do you sit when you get in, oh, I'll speak, Robyn. Um I remember a friend of mine got a text message from her ex-boyfriend, and she was so angry, and she was telling everyone how terrible he was because he sent her this message and that meant this, and 6 months later, for whatever reason, she went back and she read the message and went, oh, oh, actually he was being nice. Oh, hang on. But because she was coming from a place where she was angry with him, or she was expecting bad, you know, conversation, whatever it may be, that's what she read rather than what was there.
That's so pure gold what you're talking about. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so can you tell me more about what do you mean by being the best of what you can be?
It's like I don't see it as the ultimate goal. There's no end journey.
Yeah.
There's no end journey. There is no best Robyn. There is no best Curio. We're on a journey of reflection and refinement. But being the best who we can be right now in this moment means that we're clear, we're balanced in the moment. So we see, the great things that are going on, and we see the terrible things that are going on. And we're just grateful to be here. And we're grateful to have, those people around us that we love. And when we're in that space and we're soft, we're grounded, it then allows us to make really clear and loving decisions for ourselves and for other people, potentially. And that means that we're in the best space. We are at our best to then take the next steps to be whatever that may be.
Yeah, that's very, very lovely because it's not about the goal, it's about the journey. And that's
Exactly. There's never an end. And
yeah,
it's funny. I don't know whether you have the saying in Finland, but in Australia there's a saying, and people say it really quite often, is that, how are you going? And someone says, oh, I'm getting there. And I'm thinking, where's there?
yeah. So
As if they're getting towards a goal, but they can't quite get there. And no one ever says, oh, well, I've got there.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yes, so it's like I think that some people, I mean, I myself in some parts of my life, I have almost overwhelmed myself by trying to reach a goal
Mm. Mm.
without
Yes.
understanding the journey.
Yeah. Yeah. And the difference is actually interesting. I was thinking about this the other day. The difference between overwhelm and being confident is having solved the problem. If you're overwhelmed, it means there's a problem and you haven't solved it yet. You haven't figured out what it is, how to get around something, whatever the problem may be. You're overwhelmed because you've got so many options, or you've got so much to do, or whatever it may be, and you've got to make a decision. And not making the decision means that you're staying overwhelmed. But
Yes.
when you make the decision, you solve the problem, you come out the other end, you start to build self-confidence.
Yeah, so true. And it's like I've experienced burnout couple of times in my life. And the last time was 2022 year. I was almost many parts of that year I was on sick leave. And but after that I had this moment of realizing that now what I believe about burnout, it's just like a bunch of thoughts that you
I agree.
haven't listened.
I agree.
You haven't listened them, and when you don't listen them, they start going into your body system, and you will start experiencing tiredness and anxiety and many sorts of bodily
Yes.
things. Now I'm
Yes.
missing the word in English.
Well, one of my mentors, Dr. John D. Martini, talks about this precisely. And he says that it keeps going. So if we don't listen to our thoughts then we become emotional. and then we don't listen to our emotions, then it manifests in our body in some way, shape, or form. So whether it's, you know, the tired and anxiousness from burnout, or whether it's my shoulder. And if we don't listen to our body, the next step is that there will be confrontation and arguments in your life. And I don't know whether you've looked around, and there's some people and they're always arguing and there's always some sort of conflict.
Yeah.
Or it appears to be always, it probably isn't always. And that's the next step. Like there's a whole bunch of steps, and when you start to see that someone is really argumentative and really angry and getting quite worked up, it's likely that they haven't listened to their thoughts, they haven't listened to their emotions, they haven't listened to their body, and now they're getting conflict with everybody else to try and wake them up to whatever it is that they haven't addressed. Yeah.
So
interesting.
what would you say to a person who is experiencing thoughts like this, that feelings of anger and feelings of blaming everything outside world?
Yes, well, that's the kind of work that I do in my coaching. And I have a series of questions that I ask, and I'll give you an example, which I'll just sidestep for a moment. So if you go to the gym and you want to get big biceps, right?
Yeah.
What do? You do bicep curls.
Yeah.
But you don't go to the gym and pick up one dumbbell and do one curl and then put the dumbbell down and then think your biceps going to grow and be strong.
Yeah.
You've got to do, 3 lots of 12 reps. I don't know, pick numbers, doesn't matter. And then you've got to do that 2, 3, 4 times a week for months to get the brain neural connection, to increase the muscle mass, to get stronger, etc. So our brains work in the same way. And when we have a spiral story, when we have the negative story that something happens, you get upset, that always happens to me, I'm terrible, I should be, I blah 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 blah, and I should be living under a bridge, and I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Like there's this spiral story.
Yeah, we all have them. Our own versions.
And what we do in our brain, we've got neural connections about how we do things, right? And if we walk, and we walk every day, we're really good at maintaining the connections in our brain of how to walk. And we have like highways so we can walk without thinking. And it's the same with our spiral story or our negative thinking. Something happens and we go straight into this negative thinking, and we go straight down the neural highway to, that's it, it's the world's, a terrible place to be, you don't want to be here anymore. And that becomes this neural pathway in your brain that we need to be able to reprogram to stop that automatic set of thoughts, because then you end up in the same sort of circle and you don't get anywhere. So when I ask questions to my clients, I don't ask them just once or twice. It's not like we're just doing 2 bicep curls. I can ask a question 20 times. I can ask a question 50 times. And I've seen other people ask the same question 200 times, and I'm not joking, to reconfigure the brain, to rewire it, to get out of a pattern. And it's when once you grasp that thought. Now, it is really hard. I've got to say, it's hard work, because we think that neuroplasticity and that sounds all lovely and easy and flow, and it's not. It's hard, because when we were learning to walk, when we were babies, we're born and we can't do anything, and then we start to kick our legs a bit. It takes us an entire year to learn how to walk. And we're still wobbly when we're one.
Yes, yes. So,
And so that is neural programming. We are programming our brain how to walk. And we try something and we fall over. Okay, we'll try that again. And every time we get a little bit stronger and so the repetition required sometimes to reprogram those negative spiral stories in our head that can take over means that I can ask a question many times until, and it's amazing when it happens. It's absolutely incredible. And like I work on Zoom, and you wouldn't have thought that you can actually feel emotion like being on Zoom through a computer with someone on the other side of the world. However, there is a point where there is this moment of clarity, of beauty, the aha moment, and you go, and suddenly everything feels balanced. Everything feels beautiful. And it's just this place of peace and calm and joy. And that's what I do.
yeah, lovely. So it's the repetition, like doing daily the things that are easy to do, but also easy not to do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, once you've got that clarity, once I've asked a question 20 times and you're sitting there trying to scratch your head coming up with 20 different answers, and the moment of clarity comes, that's when all of the brain networks link.
Yeah.
And once they're linked, they don't unlink. You can't undo it, which is great. So I'm not saying that someone has to work with me for an entire year to get benefit,
Yeah.
but the linkage in your brain, obviously walking is a very complex thing, but to be able to pick on a particular moment and then to find that clarity is, yeah, it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Mm.
very inspiring. It's I mean if we look at the small child who is learning to walk, they have this need to walk and to go forward. They don't like,
Mm.
okay, I fell down. This means I'm failed and I never should try this again. So
Exactly. I mean, you'll
what
know
can
from
I
your
do now?
kids, they probably fell over more than 1,000 times before they got it right.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
how often do we do something 3 times and go, oh, it's too hard, it's not working?
yeah, yeah. Or like diets, you just work out one time
Mm.
and think, why? What?
Why hasn't the weight fallen off me? I don't
Yeah,
understand. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So
And it's just the fact that we've been eating maybe, too much for the last 20 years, and we expect that 1 week of dieting is going to magically change that.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
Robyn, is there one thing that you would still want to say to the audience that is watching this
Ooh,
about
one
being the
thing.
best you can be?
It's about creating possibility, I would say. So whatever it is, whether you're investigating things or you're looking at things or it's about, for me, it's about creating space in your mind. And when you can create space, you can see, okay, I'll go back to my example of the person writing terrible things on my post. Once I can see that there is both sides to that situation and I've got clarity and I actually say, thank you, it creates space. And it's kind of like, science when you create a vacuum And in a vacuum, things are drawn in. So if you are able, I am able to let go of the grumpy so-and-so who wrote on my post and let that go and sit in calm and gratitude for the both sides of whatever that was, I've actually created space so that other things can come into my life. And I just, yeah, I think it's amazing to think of what's actually possible, because yeah, and until we find that space and we allow that, then I don't think we fully know what's actually possible for us to do. So
I love that. I love that because it's since I've started coaching, it has been so amazing to find out that things that we have been almost certain about, that this is a fact. And when we go and look at it, that is it actually true? Is it really true? We find out that, oh my goodness, that's just a false belief. I think that people would not believe unless they have worked with themselves, that how many limiting beliefs they have and how much power we have in our brains. I think that we, at this moment, the studies made about our brains and our possibilities, we just know this much of what we are capable of doing. This has been
absolutely.
so inspiring, Robyn. But hey, one small question still.
Oh, very good. Go ahead.
Here, you live in Australia, but
I
you
do.
know Finland.
I have indeed been to Finland, which
Yay!
was great.
Yeah. Can you tell me a few words about this to our Finnish viewers?
Oh, I came over. So this was after I had finished skiing competitively, but I still loved skiing.
Yeah.
So in Finland, you have a cross-country ski race called the Finlandia over in Lahti. And so I flew into Helsinki and caught the train up to Lahti and went skiing, and it was so beautiful. And I'm definitely going to have to come back and see your country in summer, because yeah, all of your beautiful lakes, and I can't imagine what it'd be like. So I
I'll be
look forward to
waiting. I'll be waiting. Yeah.
that.
But thank you so much, Robyn, for this. It's been wonderful.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kyria. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, and to our viewers, I wish that you've been experiencing a lovely time with us, and hopefully had some new things to think about in a different way. And if someone wants to contact you, Robyn, where should they head?
I am on Facebook. That is the best place to find me. So I assume my name will be in the notes and the comments. Or
Yes, I will share your name
beautiful, beautiful.
and
So
your link in the comments.
there we go. You can go and look me up on Facebook, and
Yes.
yeah, send me a friend request. That'd be a marvelous thing to connect with some more Finnish people. Amazing.
Yay! Okay, it was lovely. Bye.
Thanks, period.
I will end the recording.